And my focus is going to be on what I call an inner history of always on you technology. The focus there is not on what technology does for us, but what it does to us as people, to our relationships, our sense of self, and our sense of boundary. In my studies of the 1980s, I specifically asked Americans, a lot of Americans, hundreds of Americans, how would you feel about going through an automatic toll booth? And they were absolutely sure that having their car tagged so that when they went through an automatic toll booth was kind of like an incredibly un-American. It was like having a national security card. It was very un-American. It was intolerable surveillance. It was all bad.
Critically, citizens shift from being passive consumers to being potentially active users as part more generally of what we see when we look at something like Wikipedia as an example and so many other users-generated content, is that we have destabilization of various categories of powers. Instead of a stark separation between producers and consumers, we have this new category of user. We have a destabilization of what counts as authority, what counts as equality and accreditation. Critically, capital and the ability to connect it and therefore be effective, to collect it and therefore be effective, stops being a proxy for quality, authority, and accreditation. We begin to see, because we don't have authority, practices of skeptical reading. First of all, we have individuals who may just care and are able to do something. So the first set of images of coffins coming in from Iraq was one person, Russ Kick, running one website, The Memory Hole, sitting for months on Freedom of Information Act requests, putting it up. Not a single media organization was willing to do this. It was only now, with the new administration, that the ban on sending these out was lifted. But when he put it on, everybody immediately was able to follow. So the ability of one person with relatively low cost to do this is central. Then what we can do together. So Senator Obama and Senator Coburn at the time had a new transparency bill. Somebody put a secret hold on it, just like we're seeing secret holds now. What was the technique? This is a right-wing blog. What was the technique? Let's ask people to call their senator. Call your senator. Did you put the secret hold? Let us know over here. Within a few days, everybody collates what their senator says to them, and we say, it's Senator Ted Stevens. And shockingly enough, he was shamed into lifting it.
A technological society, Andrew Barry proposes, is one which takes technical change to be the model for political invention. This observation alerts us to the relations between how we figure design and how we configure wider possibilities for transformative change. We need to talk about political economies of design, not only on a grand scale, but in terms of the micropolitics of design's various entanglements and their implications for critical and careful practices. This implies, in my view, a form of located accountability as a way of rethinking design responsibility. That is, that as professional designers, we become responsible for locating ourselves within the extended networks of social relations and material practices that comprise technological projects. That's not to say that we can, in any strong sense, control those networks. On the contrary, a primary implication of this view is that professional designers must give up control over technological systems, which is, in any case, illusory, and see themselves instead as entering into an ongoing set of working relations, including multiple forms of contestation and alliance. The question at each next turn becomes not how do we determine the future, but instead how do we proceed in a responsible way.
In their everyday operations, as well as in their prospect of developments, cities have become increasingly dependent upon individual preferences, behavior, and strategies. From biometric databases used to identify individuals to the cell phone and personal digital assistant, digital technologies are indeed instrumental in this process of individualization. Far from becoming estranged from physical reality, these spaces are actually more and more often interfaced or even hybridized with traditional three-dimensional reality. Here it's tagging of space with music, etc., left by other people, and you can listen to what they left to you. And it's clear that the future of city seems to depend more and more on the multiplication of such interfaces or hybrid situation, what is often referred to under the generic denomination of augmented reality. A last characteristic, the most essential perhaps in my opinion, is the importance of occurrences and events as defining elements of urban life and urban prospects of development. Contemporary cities are about these multiple occurrences and events that range from ordinary weather and traffic condition to highly special moments like festival, major sports competition, or political convention. And digital tools are generally indispensable to announce them and reveal their full scope.